Welcome, everyone, and thanks for listening to the Forgot to Save podcast, the twice monthly gaming podcast where we go back and play the games we always wanted to, but never got a chance to, with you, the listener. I'm Stone, and for this episode, I promised you I would not be alone, and I swear to you I am not, but it is not Mike. He will not be joining us this month, but I swear he's trying to get back as soon as possible. So joining us this month is my brother Regan.
Hi.
You can say hi.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool. And just so you guys know, if you're not already listening on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher, you can find us on any one of those platforms. Now, Regan, just so we can get a feel for, where you're coming from as far as a gamer, why don't you tell us a little bit about your gaming history and maybe why it's different from mine, because I'm pretty sure they're going to be similar.
Well, I would say going all the way back to our childhood, my fondest and most intense gaming memory would be Super Mario 64, and I feel like that was a good place to start. So really into platformers, and if you want to go further and say collectathon, except DK64, because that is an atrocity. Really into those. I like strategy RPGs, but not too many strategy RPGs. I like it on the lighter side, like Fire Emblem. I'm not. I know there's like Advance Wars and stuff like that. I'm not stick to Fire Emblem, but I do like strategy RPGs and a lot of RPGs in general. Essentially, if you just go down the list of Nintendo and then any of the side paths that people take from their popular games, I'm in those. I don't fit into any like ridiculous niche that people may find that I'm just stick to platformers, JRPGs. That.
Right. I mean, I think it's safe to say, like, we started at the same point, and then we just, like, hit a time where we just forked in different directions. You're like, I like the old school stuff. I want to play, like, games that are, like, platformers and old style. And I'm like, the newer graphics are pretty, and I want to follow that way.
No need for that. Stylized graphics still look good. Mario 64 is rough around the edges, but it still looks appealing. Unlike, I still have like this Spider-Man 2 for PS2, and it looks atrocious.
Yeah, but that's the best one, but we won't get into that.
Okay. Also, I feel like you got more into shooters than me. I mean, Splatoon is probably the shooter I've spent the most time on outside of Halo 3, so that might indicate.
Yeah. I mean, I think Halo's one of the best games, but we won't. I'm sure we've already talked about that, but
yeah.
I mean, just to give people a feel, what are you playing right now? I have a feeling I know, but
okay. So obviously the two big indie ones that just came out, Cuphead and A Hat in Time. Both
very exciting,
absolutely fantastic. I was always a huge fan of Metal Slug because if not specifically a third-person shooter or first-person, I like running guns or like extreme bullet shooters like Ikaruga and I can't think of the other really well-known one. It's like the space ship and you can get the upgrades and whatnot. Anyway, so I'm really into those type of shooters. So Cuphead was just an amazing experience. And A Hat in Time has probably been the best platform I've played in a very long time. It was, I mean, I swear they probably started with like a copy of Mario Sunshine and then just put a different coat of paint on it. And then after a while, they're like, maybe we should make it our own game, because the authenticity compared to Mario Sunshine is just spot on, and it controls well, it looks great, the characters are like cheeky and lovable, and and then obviously Mario Odyssey just came out, so I invested about 9 or 10 hours yesterday playing that, and I love it. It doesn't control as well as I would have hoped, but it is still very fun to play, very good. And then also Splatoon 2, because I just recently got a Switch, so I've been investing in that mostly. Outside of that, I still kind of play Overwatch on and off, but that's as far out as I go now.
Yeah, A Hat in Time and Cuphead I've been following for a while, but still haven't picked up, and I want to.
I mean, just connect to my Steam. I have them. They're fantastic. And Cuphead is co-op right now, but then Hat in Time, they're going to be putting out a co-op update soon-ish. but it's very satisfying.
Yeah, that's cool. Cool. Well, we played a few games this month. We played our free game, and then we played our actual month game, which we didn't announce last time, but this month it is Psychonauts. We put it on the Facebook, but I didn't actually say anything in an episode. So we're playing Psychonauts by Double Fine this month, and let's start out by talking about our free game, which was actually chosen by you, Regan. So why don't you tell us what the free game is and give us a little synopsis of it?
Okay, so it's called Happy Dungeons, and honestly, I can't really tell you if there is a plot to the game, but the game itself, it kind of reminds me of Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, if anyone played that. So it's a free-to-play game, obviously. I was just browsing the PS4 store to look for something, and it's not. Usually free-to-play games of any kind, they're just kind of throw like a bunch of stuff at you, but it very much is like, if you want to do this, you can. But for the most part, here's how you go into the gameplay. The tutorials aren't like super over exhausting or anything. It's just, here's the controls, here's a quick level to do it, and then after that, you go right in. So it's basically, you start, you got menus, you pick, you want to go on a quest. It's just all sequential. You beat the first one, the next one opens up. There aren't any like branching paths or anything like that, but you go in, and I guess I could compare it to, if you ever play like it's a bird's eye view, and you're just this little wonky, big-headed, small-bodied cartoon character, right. Almost like a 3D. It's 3D, and you just slash at little enemies like goblins and aliens and thieves and whatnot. So you just go like one room at a time, like floor by floor in these dungeons, sort of. And you just unlock new weapons and whatnot along the way, and that's it, really. There's not much else to it. It's just cute and fun, and I don't know. Just waste time doing the same thing.
Yeah, and I know that this actually, and I didn't realize this till I was playing it, but this is the second game, I guess, in this like Happy quote-unquote series.
I had no idea.
Yeah, there was Happy Wars. I played that a lot on 360, and I didn't know that they had made this other game, Happy Dungeon. So when I was playing it, I was like, oh, wait a second. This is exactly like Happy Wars. I'm 99% sure this is a continuation of it. So there is kind of a more PvP-oriented one, Happy Wars, and I'm pretty sure they ported that from the 360 up to the Xbox One.
Yeah. Oh, and so that's PvP. The thing about this game is it's super like quest with other people, and it doesn't knock you for being alone. Obviously, you can do that, and from all the times I played, there were very few other people who were playing. So you get the same amount of experience and gold and whatever items, but if you have more people, it benefits you. So you get extra like 10% per other person who's with you, and you can have up to 4 people in a party. And it's helpful that if you, say, die in whatever dungeon, other people automatically start with items that resurrect allies, as opposed to you have a very small number of things that can revive yourself, or you can spend some of your extra currencies in the game, which obviously if you don't want to invest in microtransactions, you want to avoid. Not that it's a difficult game, but it's just something to budget for. Yeah. So it pushes for multiplayer, but it doesn't kill you for playing alone, which is very nice. And in fact, when you start, you can make your own private session, but automatically, if you just go into a quick selection for picking a quest, it takes a minute for it to load up, and while it is loading, it'll automatically just have your room open so other people can just jump in. And there's no like specific chat buttons or anything, so you don't have to worry about anyone who may be annoying or yelling obscenities or anything like that. Yeah, which is very nice. It's always welcome.
So at first, when I started the game, I thought it was forced online play, like forced cooperative, and that like really turned me off really quickly because I hate being forced into playing online with other people. But then I found out that you could solo queue, and I think that made it a little bit better. I know you had said when you were giving me the summary that there was no real story. and there is a story. It's just exceptionally annoying, and you cannot skip the very beginning because I kept trying to skip the cutscenes at the beginning, and it's killer.
See,
And if
I
you,
walked away during those. That's why I
yeah,
didn't pick
you
up.
got lucky then.
Yeah.
But when you play with other people, you can still skip the cutscenes, but only if everybody does it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it could be annoying if you have people that don't pay attention, like you apparently.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't super into it because, I mean, I like to. Let's go ahead.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go on.
No, I mean, I like to play games solo. I initially had thought that this was forcing cooperative play, and that really wasn't doing it for me. But like, there was nothing holding me with a story. I wasn't really excited when I was finding new gear and stuff. And the part that bugged me about playing online with people is, yes, you do get more rewards, but everything you kill, you have to then go pick up the drops. It's not evenly distributed loot, so there is more to pick up if you are the one to be there to pick it up.
Yes. So for those points, I would say for me the game isn't like exceptionally fun either. It's just a kind of fun little free game you can get, especially if you want just like a very lax sort of cartoony experience with someone. If you want to if you're looking for an easy multiplayer sort of adventure experience, it's not something I would regularly play. Like I've played it sparingly over the last week or so since I found it, and like I said, it's fun, but it's not something I would invest my time into. Like it would be the sort of game where I forget to play one day, and then 3 years later, be like, "Oh yeah, I played Happy Dungeons once. It was decent." It's like, yeah, it's a fun game. I'd check it out.
Yeah, I really liked Happy Wars. I felt like in Happy Wars, like finding and unlocking new stuff was fun, and it was like, yeah, it was centered around PvP. So I knew that I was getting into matches against other people off the bat.
So it actually tested your skill, as opposed to this one. It's just computer enemies, and they're not difficult. It's just, you just gotta. There's a lot of. If you can roll and dodge them, then that's all you need.
Yeah, I feel like Happy Dungeon, this game, is kind of just a time sink. Like the audience they're looking for, which are fans of like Gauntlet and Diablo, and games like that, are not interested in this because there are other free games to fill that void. Like, I don't know, there's like Marvel Heroes and Path of Exile and all these other free games that can encapsulate that. So honestly, I really just think of this game as a time sink. It doesn't have any really strong points for it, in my opinion. It's not that it's bad. It's just like, it's just a piece of white bread. Nobody's craving it. If it puts something else on top of it, it would be great. But nobody's just dying for one single piece of white bread. And it's a little hard.
That is to say, if you've been having exotic breads for a long time, you might want to go back and be like, I just want to enjoy white bread for a few days.
Even people that like white bread don't just want to take one piece of white bread. Like, that's all this is.
They don't want it because it's white bread.
Right. It's just
specifically they just want bread for other things. Bread is just the transportation of which they can. Yes.
Right.
I will say, if you don't like navigating menus a lot, maybe steer clear of it, because there's a lot of menu. It's not like super long load times or anything, but you have 3 different classes for the characters. There's a warrior, a cleric, and a
mage,
like a black mage or something. Yeah. And, obviously one plays melee. The cleric plays melee, but is also a healer. But that's only really useful if you have other people, and also if you're just really bad at the game and can't level up.
Yeah.
Which honestly shouldn't be happening. You should get a level for like almost every quest. So you have a big size inventory. You can fit a lot of items, but every quest you are getting so many items from. Doesn't matter if it's like, maybe with the exception of like the first 2 or 3 quests, after that, once you start getting items, you never stop. So they did kind of help themselves with like the weapon system, but I'll get into that in a second. So you're getting a bunch of items all the time, so you don't have to worry about like spending your money to buy anything else. but after every quest, you can either choose to go straight into the next quest, go back to a queue, or just go back to the main menu. And chances are, every time you're going to go back to the main menu, so you can, because you probably got a new skill, so you might want to change your little skills for your characters. You might have gotten, you probably want to make your weapon stronger, because you can do that system. Maybe equip new armor that you got, because chances are, unless you have like the extra currency to get really cool armor that's like super high level, chances are you're going to be changing your stuff after almost every quest too.
Mm-hmm.
So you're sitting on a giant pile of items.
Yeah.
The good thing about that, though, is the weapons, the system they have for, like, leveling up your weapons and armor is, it requires other items that gives to your current items experience. So you pick the one that you want to power up. It has a max level. And as you level it up, it obviously increases its attack power and, makes you more useful. So generally, you'd want to get just a strong item to begin with and just keep pumping into it. So all the items you get, you can just... that also costs money, but you get plenty of that from quests, so you're probably never going to be at a point where you need more.
Right.
So it definitely helps you with its own systems. Like, it drops a lot, but you're going to use it after almost everything, so you can have a pretty clear inventory. And your inventory is shared between your characters, but it shows which one is equipped to which, but also they're specified for their classes anyway, so like a cleric can't put on warrior or mage armor.
Right.
So I don't know. That's a little messy, but overall it was a decent, 4-day experience for a free game. And like I said a bit earlier, it doesn't constantly shove do microtransactions at you.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's maybe, when they were going through the tutorial in the menus, there's maybe 2 or 3 times where they're like, maybe consider buying something, for your extra loot. But after that, not even on loading screens do they push it on you, which is usually the time you would.
Yeah. So one thing I will give it, though, to its credit, is that I didn't know that I ran out of PS Plus, and I was playing it, and it still let me play online with other people, even though I didn't have PlayStation Plus. So if you don't, you don't have money to fork out for PlayStation Plus, here's a free game that lets you play online with other people for free. So if that's something that interests you, absolutely go for it. It can't hurt. So the final word, would you recommend this to people? Would you play it again? What are your thoughts?
I don't know that I'd recommend it. Maybe offhand, like you said, if you don't want to shell out for PS Plus right now for whatever reason, and you just want something free and low key, it's fun. But I will say, if you have people that want to play something, try to play it with other people, because alone, it's just not as fun. It gets boring very quickly. So have other people to play it with. It controls decently. It's comfortable to play. I never felt like anything was, BS that was thrown at me just because the game was made that way. It was, I don't know. If I could give it a score, 5 out of 10. Lukewarm. It's okay. It's white bread. Just you nailed it. It's white bread.
Right. So I don't know. If I would only really recommend this to somebody if they fit into that category. They don't really have any money, but they have a PS4. They want a new game. It's free to download. It's free to play online. Go for it. No shame in that.
So children who aren't pampered.
Right. Would I continue to play it? No. I'm going to free up my hard drive space pretty much as soon as we finish recording this.
I have already stopped playing it because other games, but also because it was like, I did my research.
So that's Happy Dungeon. If you like it, good for you. Hopefully you're enjoying your almost completely free experience if you haven't paid for any microtransactions. We are going to get moving on to something a little bit more exciting, which I think is Psychonauts. Psychonauts is kind of an old game, right? I mean, this was out for the original...
2005 is when it came out,
2005.
I believe. 05, 06, I think.
So this not only came out for the original Xbox, this is Double Fine's first ever game.
And PlayStation 2. No, it is not. It is not Double Fine's first game, because they made Grim Fandango. before that, or maybe it was slightly after.
That was
but
under
they also
Lucasfilms, I think.
well, was it? I
I
thought.
don't know. Look,
No,
I'm
I think the
completely
main
misinformed
director
now.
of it worked for Lucasfilms, but I'm pretty sure they made at least one game before this. I could be wrong.
Okay.
But I'm pretty
This
sure Grim
might
Fandango.
be Double Fine's first game after possibly Grim Fandango and Day of the Tentacles. Possibly, maybe. I could look it up, but
Yeah,
I won't.
Grim
now.
Fandango is 98. Are you
I
kidding
just-
me?
Oh yeah, but I don't know if it's under Double Fine. That's my thing.
That's true.
Either way, this game is very much in Double Fine's own style, and a sequel is being worked on. In fact, there was just an update earlier this month that showed some actual gameplay for
Yes.
Psychonauts 2, and it looks pretty, especially in comparison to this 2005 version. A few things on the development of Psychonauts. This game was, I believe it was exclusive to the Xbox. You said PS2, but
Yeah, it was on PS2 because I got it for my
Yes,
PS4
you're
as
right,
a
you're right.
PS2. I will say I think the graphics were slightly better on the Xbox because like looking up gameplay things online, I'm like, how does it look so nice? But I think that might also be because of Steam
yes.
because it was released there, so they probably upped it a bit because the PS4 is just straight up the PS2 version and it is
Yeah.
it's rough to
So-
look at times.
So the this game was actually kind of a failure in sales. For as well regarded and well reviewed as it is, it did not sell enough to be profitable. This game was
Very
kind of a
much.
commercial failure.
Very much a cult classic in that it is well loved, but not financially
Nobody
loved.
bought it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I saw that in 2012 when they got the rights back and were able to distribute it digitally, they made more in just 2012 than they did in the entirety of sales from 2005 up until that point.
Yeah.
So I think if that doesn't tell you what a commercial failure it was, then I don't know what will. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad game because a lot of good games don't sell in their time. That's just how gaming goes. If you don't market it correctly, there's a lot of factors that go into it. We won't really explore a lot of those because so far I've gotten a lot wrong. And I don't want to be seen as any kind of authority on this because I cannot be trusted. So this game, Psychonauts, it's very much Double Fine's taste. And if you haven't played any other Double Fine games, I think the things that define a Double Fine game is probably a little crude. Definitely an emphasis on humor and really unique kind of out there stories, characters, situations. And I think that really encapsulates Double Fine. Is there anything I'm missing on that, do you think?
I would just say I feel like in their topics or their gameplay and whatnot, I mean, especially in this game, just based on the characters, it's not like the typical theme of there's a bad guy, there's a good guy, and, overcome the bad guy. It's I don't know, just the stories and the premises are just,
Doesn't
it's not
conform.
straightforward. Yeah, it's not the typical just be the best,
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, you say that, but this game is kind of about becoming a psychonaut. So
Okay,
you
so
kind of
that's.
are trying to be.
But
the
I'm
best.
saying like the characters that you interact with aren't just plain black and white. Like I'm an NPC and I do this one function. I mean, we'll get into it, but most of the characters have some sort of mental illness or something of the sort that very much. I don't know. It really. What am I trying to think of here?
They have flaws,
Yes,
but so
and flaws are good.
For those of you that don't know about Psychonauts is it's mostly a platformer. It's a little bit open world, or at least
Very few puzzles. Yeah.
right. And there's a good amount of collecting to do as well. The game is about kids that go to a summer camp to become psychic soldiers or psychonauts, and they can go into other people's minds for the purpose of warfare or, there's other reasons too. But this particular summer camp is recruiting people to become psychonauts, which would eventually be soldiers. They are, as far as I've seen it described, because I was looking up some Psychonauts 2, updates. Tim Schafer describes it as the NASA of the human psyche. They are kind of exploring the brain in ways that is kind of like government funded, and they do have, a peaceful intent in mind, but other people try to weaponize it.
Yes.
So I think that's where that comparison comes from, and I think that's pretty well said. I don't know if there's any other way to describe it because it's such a weird concept.
It is.
But you play as Raz, who kind of is not invited to this summer camp. He kind of breaks in, but they see how powerful his mind is and decide that he can stay at summer camp and be trained with them because his goal in life is to become a psychonaut. He ran away from his parents, who see psychics as freaks, and they are in a traveling circus, I think.
They're
or just a
gypsies, yes.
circus? Yeah,
they are
gypsies.
traveling gypsies who do a circus, so that's saying a lot if they think psychics
And he
are
hates
freaks.
it.
Yes.
So, but
Yeah,
that's where,
which is why he ran away. So,
but that's where he gets all his athletic abilities from. That's a reason that he can do these like double jumps and swing from all these ropes and all the abilities he gets. They give the kind of reason. Oh, he had to concentrate on acrobatics.
Yes, it's nice to have context in those sort of situations.
Right, like why can Mario do it? Like we don't know, but we know why Raz can do it.
Exactly. Just have some sort of context, even if it's an easy way out in a game. Like, just very quick, Conker's Bad Fur Day, they literally have a thing called a concept or a context-sensitive pad.
Oh, yeah.
So you just go onto it, press the button, and it's just sensitive to the context of the situation, is how it's actually defined to you by a character in the game. So, so even that, it's an easy way out to just have some context for what you're doing in the game. And,
Yeah.
I mean, that wasn't difficult to write in or anything.
And I think that's also just like to Double Fine's style there. That's always what they do. They don't think that you need all that background because who cares? Like it doesn't
a lot of world
really,
building. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Let's go through a few different parts of the game. First of all, how much of it have you played? About if you could put a time to it, how much do you think you played?
At this point, like between 5 and 7 hours, maybe.
Jeez, you played a lot more than I did.
I did. I grinded a lot this morning to get the most out of it and have a fresh experience.
I think I have 3 or 4 hours.
So at what point have you made it to? Because I feel like did you at least make it out of the, quote, tutorial area?
I believe so. So most of my time was spent exploring the hub world, which is the camp. And I really enjoyed that. We can talk about it in a moment. But the part I got to was you go to Sasha Nine's secret lab, and then you find that monster in your brain. And then he's like, well, I can train you if you want. And then I asked him to train me, and he's like, well, I didn't think you'd say yes, so you had to go do this other thing. And then I saved before I did that other thing and stopped.
So you actually have not made it out of the tutorial
Oh,
area.
really? I'm still...
Yeah, it's a very... I mean, it doesn't... They tell you what to do just to prepare you, but that's not even the meat of the game.
Okay.
So I would say go further.
Yeah, I didn't think the game would be, okay, your training's done, end of game.
It's not just... I mean, they're training you, but it gets to a point where you actually leave the camp because a bigger conspiracy is going on.
Right.
Do you want me to delve more into...
No. Let's not spoil it right now.
Okay. Later.
But yeah, I spent the bulk of my time exploring the camp, and I feel like as far as the abilities I had, I did everything I could. I am now able to set things on fire, which is fun. And I'm trying to see the different dialogue options when I try to set people on fire.
Yes, that is fun. I like that you can actually do that. In fact, when I first got that ability, it was in Sasha. Like, I just left real quick because I got to the level that I could use it, and then went back in. And he was the first thing I targeted to burn. And he's like, aren't there better things you can do with that ability? I'm like, what a genius little nugget of, like, that's so good. Good world building.
I got it, and the first thing I thought of was, in the very beginning of the game, after you do the first mission, you come out and you can explore, like, the kids' cabins area.
And was it the outhouse? You thought you could burn down the door?
No, I went underground and there was a vault you open up and there was just a
Yes.
sandwich frozen in a block of ice. So as soon as I got the firepower, I was like, I'm getting that sandwich.
Yeah.
That's like my first thought. And then I went down there. I did it. I came up and that kid was playing hide and seek and looking for everyone else. I'm like, I'm going to burn that kid. So the second thing I tried to burn was a person. And I don't know what that says about me. That it's like, let's see what I can set on fire. Sandwich, good. Child, resistant. And then I tried a bird and the bird blew. So
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm playing it the way it's intended or this is like secretly a test to see if I'm a murderer and
see,
people are coming for me.
Here's the thing. If they didn't want you to do it, they wouldn't have given you the option. It's fine.
I don't know if that's always the case. I think that's a bad motto to have.
definitely the case.
That's a bad motto to have.
Maybe.
So, yeah, let's talk a little bit about the characters at first. What do you think of Raz, the main character, first of all?
I mean, I kind of like him, but at the same time, I don't know. He's a go-getter. He obviously really wants it. I mean, he's mostly there to never have to go back to his family because of his, his parents hating him for the psychic part. Mm-hmm. And he wants to make the most of it. And obviously, all the characters, everybody's at this camp, and they're like, hey, you can train with us, but the camp, the agents, camp counselors, whatever you want to call them, teachers, I don't know. They're all like, you can stay here. We've already called your parents, so you can stay here so long as until they come pick you up. So really, in the story aspect, he only has a few days to be at this camp. Right. So he's trying to cram everything about being a psychonaut into the few days that he can.
Right.
So I mean, he's got the the tenacity and the attitude of a typical hero, but at the same time, he's kind of just like just like a kid, just wanted to be on his own. And so like there are girls in the camp, and one of them is kind of takes a liking to him. And so one moment, some other kid came up and he's like, hey, are you and Lily together? And he's like, no, I don't have time for that. I got to be a psychonaut.
Yeah, at the beach.
Mm-hmm.
The lake,
so he is, tried and true, just, on his journey to be a psychonaut, and that is it. As to what he'll do with it after he becomes one,
we'll have to play the sequel.
Yeah. How do you feel about Raz, though?
Well, so here's my thing, right? I feel like, it's obvious that gaming has evolved from this point. And, I'd like to think I've evolved with it because we see evolution as a positive thing. But Raz is very much like, from what I know now, like an old-timey hero, quote-unquote, where it's like the game has an agenda for this character, and they have their own defined personality, and they have their own defined story, and no matter what influence you as the player have in it, that is never changing. So, like, the game has its own agenda, and I've played so many more recent games now, and we just came off Life is Strange, which is so polar opposite this, that I'm having a hard time adjusting to liking Raz, because I feel like I have no influence over him, which is not necessarily a bad thing, especially not for a game like this, which is comedic and supposed to be more upbeat and like a little twisted. Yes. But I'm having a hard time getting into Raz just because I think I'm having the hurdle of this is an older game and I'm in the mindset of a newer game. Mm-hmm. So I don't really have a strong opinion on Raz, and if I do have an opinion right now, it's not great, but I don't think it's to any fault of the character. Yeah.
I mean, he's the coolest looking character.
I don't know. Okay,
at the very least. That doesn't say a lot about the character design, let's talk about that,
because there's some really crude, just gross characters.
Yeah.
Like the bully.
He looks like he's from Ed, Edd and Eddy, almost.
Yeah, he has gross...
A lot of the characters, if you took Ed, Edd and Eddy and made it 3D, I feel like that's what this game would turn out to be. Yeah, because they're just... It definitely has that, like, early, mid-2000s Cartoon Network look and feel to it.
Yeah. Yeah, like, there's one character, if you haven't played it, that is, like, a bully, and he's got a big afro, and the afro's no discernible natural hair color that I've ever seen. It's kind of like puke green mixed with like blood red.
Yeah,
like
with
fades.
just a hint of brown in there too.
It like fades into these weird, there's a really gross color palette across the entire game. Like it's muddy and I can't describe it any other way than gross.
It's not a color palette you would see in any other medium at all.
Yeah.
Except for like maybe like a Jackson Pollock painting, because there's no discern for color at all. It's just all mixed together in there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It just reminds you of like being sick. This entire thing, like the way you feel inside when you're sick is the way that this game looks. But as far as the colors go,
so
but he has like gross,
a large forehead. Yes. Yeah. And his gums are like blue and they stick out very far. He's got a massive overbite. He has about 5-6 teeth altogether, and they're like long and discolored, and he's just unpleasant to look at. But then again, so is Raz's little friend Dogen.
Yeah, who has ginormous feet. He's got blue skin. Yeah.
He's a mix between Kirby and Humpty Dumpty. So he looks like a blue egg. He wears a tinfoil hat because he's slightly insane.
Yeah.
He talks like just an uneducated small child. But he has giant Kirby feet. And it's really weird to look at.
Yeah, and when he walks, it's totally weird. And that, there's a lot of that going on. And it's not really exclusive to the NPCs. Raz is a little weird too. And he's got a huge head. He's got like a weird flat face. So it's like But
he actually has a nose, whereas the girl that likes him, Lily, she's similar. She has the same like Hey Arnold style head. Yeah. And like all the characters, if they have a neck, it's super skinny, super long, very creepy to look at. And like all their appendages and whatnot, but she has almost the exact same face as him, except she doesn't have a nose, so her face is even more flat, and it's so weird to look at.
Yeah, all the characters, and I mean, for as weird as the characters look, I mean, it's definitely unique as far as the artist goes. Nobody's really copying that one because nobody wants to.
No.
But they all have their own personalities, and I feel like they're fleshed out really well. And one thing I read is that when they were trying to do the voices for the characters, they had cast a lot of children to do the voices, but they were also inexperienced that it was like not very good. So they have now a lot of adults doing those children's voices, and you can tell like it's a lot of women because younger boys sound like girls. And it's I think a positive move. And Raz's voice is the same person that I don't know his name that does Invader Zim.
Yeah.
And that's, I feel like, adds to his personality, such a unique voice that you don't really hear that much. And I feel like that helps build him, and that helps build the other children around camp. They're not just like kids, because there's professional adult voice actors. They can have, their personality conveyed through the way they talk, like Dogen. That weird blue friend of Raz, who's like really childish and innocent, but also like a psychopath murderer who blew up a bunch of squirrels in the beginning. Yeah,
right in the beginning, just pieces of them. I will say one voice that got into was Sasha 9. He sounds, it's probably not the same voice actor, but he sounds so much like the guy who did the voice of Cell. I cannot get it out of my head.
The one that gets me actually is the like mine cart underneath the ground that takes you places.
The robot voice.
She is Asajj Ventress in the Clone Wars, and I can't think of anybody but like a Sith assassin driving me around every time I go underground. Because I'm very much a fan of that show. But I think the voice acting is really solid. If there's anything I give this game to its credit, it's that for even as corny as some of the lines are, because this is a time where it's like pack everything with jokes because it's the mid-2000s and that's what we do. It's the delivery is always good on it, I think. I'm not rolling my eyes because of the way the acting is. I'm rolling my eyes at some of the jokes. But that's definitely something I can give to its credit. As we talked about, the graphics are a little, I don't know.
They're aged. It's stylized, so if it's like this, I'm going to tell you, the Steam version honestly looks much better than the PS2 version. That has aged much better. Definitely smoothed it out. So that one, I would say if you're going to get one, go with that.
So let's talk about that. I'm playing the Steam version. You were playing the PS2 version?
Yes, because I got it for. It's on sale right now on the PlayStation Network for $250. So you'd be.
So you're playing on the PS4.
Yes, I don't have the actual disc PS2 version, but it's just emulated the PS2 version. So.
Okay. Yeah, I'm playing on Steam. I don't know if you know this, but I'm playing in 4K. And I understand that it is an older game, and I'm not expecting anything spectacular out of it. But playing in full screen, it's stretched to the weirdest proportion.
It is.
It's the same on the PS4?
It is. I mean, I don't think they just stretched it to fit a full screen. It's not in 4:3.
Yeah.
Which I would have been fine with that. Like,
yeah, if it's going to look this bad, put black bars on the side. I won't be mad.
Yeah. I'd rather have that than it's stretched.
And are you playing on a TV that's 720, 1080?
1080.
Okay. Yeah, so even stretched
So it's a little grainy here and there.
Yeah.
It's a 40-inch TV. It's not huge, but you can definitely see. If you have a large TV, this game is not going to be presented well on it.
Yeah, and I mean, I was giving it the benefit of the doubt that it's an older game. I wasn't expecting anything spectacular, but I've played older games that are ported to the PC. I guess the best example is like Final Fantasy IX or Final Fantasy VII, which is around the same time as this game, and they look significantly better.
Final Fantasy VII? Are you kidding me? Do you have any concept of time?
I know. No, I mean, as far as how far back it is, yes, I know that was on the PS1, and this is around the PS2, and that was in the 90s.
Just
making sure. If we're being specific, I know that. But I'm saying that, and I know they did a little bit of remastering, but I don't know, it feels lazy. Like, I was, first of all, surprised that they supported 4K at all, because it is an older game, and I'm totally fine with that not being available.
And not a super popular older game, so.
Right. But the fact that they took the time to upscale it to 4K, and then didn't do anything else, like it, I'm interested now to see what the PS2 looks like if it's so different, but yeah, I'm not even a little bit impressed with the way this game looks, and this is giving it the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
And it has, it's going against it because it has that weird color palette and these like ugly characters.
Very odd art, yes.
And what's weird about the color palette is when you're in levels, you have to collect these, I think they're figments.
Yeah, figments of your imagination.
Yeah, and they are in really bright neon colors, so you know where they're at. But they're flooding the screen, if you ask me.
That, and a lot of the levels, it's a very dark. They use darker colors, definitely. It's an odd color palette, but it's definitely in the darker shades. So even with the bright neon, it's almost like, because you're in someone when you've entered someone's mind and whatnot. It's almost like I kind of walk past them a lot and don't even realize, because even some of the scenery is like, bright colored, like light up, like
actual neon.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, that's just. Oh no, I'm sorry. I only realize that because when I walk past it, it's flat, so it doesn't there's no 3 dimension to it. But like I don't notice a lot of that stuff because it honestly blends in. Because especially the early levels, when you first go into Raz's mind, it's like super dark in there. And generally, when you're in you go into a nightclub, it's dark and there are neon lights. You play Rainbow Road on any game, it's dark and there are neon lights. Like, you just sort of get into that mindset of like, all right, well, this is just scenery. Let me walk past.
Right.
Oh, it's not. That scenery is moving and I need to collect it. So.
Yeah, so they do like a good job of trying to convey what you need to collect, but then at the same time, I don't know, it really shocks you. This game is like being sick. Like it's like having the flu playing this game sometimes. I don't know if there's any other way I could describe it. And it's so weird. And I'm not telling you not to play this game because so far I'm enjoying it. But there are some things like that I can't look past. I'm surprised I don't get seasick playing this game because it's weird sometimes.
It is very weird, yes.
So while we're talking about the figments, I think that's my biggest obstacle. So you play missions, which are, these levels that are spelled out for you that you mostly follow the path.
It's very linear. Yeah, it's very linear.
But then there's you can go to the hub world. There's a couple branching
paths. Yeah.
So you go to the hub world, and then it's free game. You can explore, and the camp is pretty big, the hub world. So there's
many
a lot
to it.
of collectibles you can find, and they're pretty fun to look for and find. That's the same thing. Look for and collect is what I meant to say.
Yes.
And that's where I found most of my time spent. But the reason I really did not look forward to going to new levels was because collecting the figments in the levels, obviously I want those figments because I want to level up. There's incentive to rank up by collecting those and getting new powers. And that's what I want to do. So I don't ever just go through the game. I stop, I look around, I go to every corner of this platform, and then I jump to the next one. I had to go to every corner of this platform, then I jump to the next one. So the game interrupts itself so much.
Yeah,
again,
it's like it's a very slow grind.
It's jerky. It's like being sick again. Like if you're in a car that's just always hitting the brakes. That's what it feels like. It's like we're on the highway. Just go. Why are we stopped in the left lane? That's what this game feels like. Being car sick in the left lane on the
constantly
highway,
stopping.
Stopped. Yeah.
I will say about the figments, so everything in this game there's a counter for. In every level there's, 2 vaults. You can see how many you've collected. You have emotional baggage, which is a very good idea, entering people's minds. There are bags, and then you need to find a tag for them that matches the color. Mm-hmm. That's a good idea. There are counters for those. It tells you when you found all the vaults and all the baggage, and you get a little completion notification, and that's awesome. The figments, I don't know if I need to collect all of them or if I'm okay missing a few. Yeah. There's no counter for it, and every time you go back into the level, they don't respawn, which is why I think I need to collect all of them. But at the same time, so you get them, and that goes into your cadet ranking, but everything else you collect goes toward your cadet ranking. So I feel like while they did want to do platformer collectathon, but really more, associate with the story and the art, the gameplay, like all the collectathons, generally you had multiple things you had to collect, but they serve different purposes.
Right.
So when you have everything that you need to collect serves one purpose, you don't really need to collect everything of each individual item.
Right.
The vaults are more for story. I don't honestly think, I haven't seen anything yet where you get some sort of like trophy or completion incentive for getting everything. So I don't know. And I'm happy with the powers I have already, unless they're going to come out with like, you're invincible and you have a giant sword, and I don't know, just add some ridiculous, like, super fun aspect of it. I don't know that there's incentive, because I'm happy with the powers I have, and I only have like 5 or 6 of them, but it's enough. Most of the powers are just kind of situational, I will say. You're not going to be using it just roaming around. The only thing you will use is the little levitate ball to move faster, but even then it's like you're on a ball, so you can't really go up hills faster.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Their collectathon portion of this partly collectathon platformer was not well implemented, I will say.
My thought with the figments, it's like this, right? They are figments in every level. Those figments are like coins in Mario. If every time you collected 100 and leveled up, you got a new ability for Mario. So it's more incentive to collect them, but then it wears you out collecting them because they're always quickly. Somewhere dangerous, and they're always moving around, and they're 2D. So when you get to them, you'll miss it by a hair because it's 2D and it turns right before it gets to you.
There are a lot that fly around, and there are no shadows. So that's very difficult. So either the figments are on the path in front of you, and you just have to, go a couple inches out of the way because they're just along with the scenery, or they're flying somewhere, and you're gonna lose.
Right, you go up to it, you miss it, you have to wait for the next cycle. It's annoying.
The depth perception is terrible.
Yeah. So
it's
I feel like on the biggest part of this game, going into these different missions, I just don't want to sometimes because it's like, I have to go, and I know me, and I know I have to collect all these, even though I'm not required to. It's annoying when I miss it, and I feel demoralized, and like the game's beating me up in my head for not collecting these, and like that is all just within me, and it still bugs me so much.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I walked past one and I was like, I could get it, but I just want to move on. And then, like 10 minutes later, I'm like, I really should have gone back for that. Because there's a little guy that can teleport you to earlier parts of the mind, because you slowly go deeper into it. So he can teleport you back. I'm like, should I? Maybe.
Right.
But yeah, that's kind of annoying.
And then there are also parts. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, as far as collecting things outside of the mine, so figments are the big things that you have to collect, like, everywhere inside the mine. Outside of the mine, there's a type of currency called arrowheads. They're just everywhere, and they're even
They're
in
your cash. Yeah.
some levels. Yes,
And they
generally when you beat
respawn.
enemies. Yeah, so you can get, but then again, some of the items you need to buy are very expensive, so that makes sense.
You could farm
so you
those
come
if
around
you
those.
wanted,
Yeah, you come around those very easily. The two other main collectibles in the campground and just in the hub world are cards that fly around, and then a little like what's it called? A psyche sort of thing. It's like a single eyeball Psycore.
Yeah.
For these Psy cards. So it's just this little, I guess, a mind's eye eyeball. And if you find a Psycore with the cards already,
It's a free rank.
you know, it adds to it makes your cadet rank go up. If you find cards, you need 9 of them, which is a weird number to pick.
Yeah, why not 10?
You need 9 of them, but you find those around, but then you have to go to the store and buy more cores to then go back into your cadet rank. So everything funnels back to your cadet rank, which is cool. But
in fairness, like those cores only cost 10 arrowheads.
so
which is-
it's not that bad. But
Yeah, it takes like no time at all to get up that money. But then it's also like, well, why do I have to go buy them then?
Yeah.
Like, can I get them in other ways? Like, can I finish a level and you give me 5? Because that also paces you. Like, you don't have a ton of powers before you have the ability to, progress through the game. I don't know. I question some of the decisions in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And that's just like the collectible part, which is the beef of the game. But some of the movement options, like when I do want to keep moving, it's often hindered by those figments because there are even auto-scrolling portions where you have to stop, go back, collect it, redo the whole portion to make sure you get all the figments. And then when I want to go forward, like there's obstacles you can spin and jump over it. Like there's going to be a pole. You grab the pole, you swing your weight over it, and then you can jump to the next one.
I have such a vendetta with that first pole challenge.
Yes,
that you
because
have
they
to do.
didn't tell you how to flip. Like, switch
yeah,
the sides you're facing.
Because it teaches you after you cross. So for anyone who hasn't played, there's a section right in the first level. It's a very big tutorial area, but it's very engaging, and it's not like, stop, all right, press this button, and that's how you do it. Now go do it again. You get up to something, and just flashes a quick message. The problem with those quick messages are if you keep moving or see another object and your thing gets locked on that, the message disappears, and
forever.
you can't bring it back up.
Yeah.
So that can be somewhat annoying in a platformer where you generally want to be always moving. So the first level is like this war zone sort of thing because the teacher that you have is like, I'm a war hero and I'm going to make you guys warriors so you can fight on the battlefield of your minds and whatnot. So there's this section where these turrets, the barrel and the muzzle flash, the muzzle at the end of the turret, and you have to grab them and swing on them like, any Mario game, Jak and Daxter. I remember there were a lot of those.
Yeah.
Any of that stuff. So you swing around. Now in most games, generally you have to either rock left and right, to build a sense of momentum, or swing, like turn the joystick in a circle.
Yeah.
That's fine. In this, you just hold the direction you want
Yeah.
to go, which messed me up because I kept going back and forth. I'm like, why is he not
Yeah, I was
doing
going back and
anything?
forth for so long.
So you have to get up there, but it requires you to do a jump and turn around at a point in order to get up because, they're in like a diagonal fashion. And it doesn't tell you how to turn around at all. And you have to scale like 2 or 3 walls of these turrets, some with flamethrowers and whatnot. And on each wall, there's at least one place where you need to jump and turn around. So I just got to the point where I was like, when you jump, your momentum just takes you. You can't do anything. You can't
you have no
choose, like, I want to
influence.
go left. I jump to the right. I'm pushing left, so it stops me so I can drop to the one below and turn around, but it doesn't work. So as soon as I jump, I press X. I immediately press left so I can switch directions. That's the only reason I got up. After that, you started a little trapeze section where you're swinging back and forth. That takes momentum for some reason. But
Yeah.
the left and right jumping doesn't, the poles. So on the trapeze, there's one where you go to one, and all of these you've just been following. You jump to one to the other, and then you're on a platform. You start halfway through it. You start on one, you get to another, but there's just empty space behind you, and it tells you press triangle to turn around.
Yeah.
Which it did not tell you for the poles that you're
and
hanging
this is like
on before.
2 sections later. Yeah.
Yes, and it works for the poles you were on before. So I don't know why they didn't tell you that before.
I found out by accident when I kept falling off those poles and falling off and falling off and falling off. It was very annoying. But I feel like that's just this game.
I specifically looked online because like maybe I just missed it. Maybe it came up in the message because I remember when it came up in the message, I walked past it. It was not. I looked up like 4 different gameplay videos, and everybody agrees there's no message that comes up before telling you to turn direction.
Yeah.
And that's like that easily wasted like 10 minutes of my time just trying to get that down.
Yeah. And I was stuck there. And the other thing is, you go to the next area, you're not paying attention to the messages. You're looking for those figments because they act like they're so important in the first level. And like really, if I would have known I could, cool off and take it easy on those, I would have. But every time I go to a new section, I'm looking for it. So I don't know. This game, it has a problem with its stop and go. For a platformer, you want to, like you said, keep up the momentum, keep going, keep getting better. You want to do it fast because that's what makes you feel like you're good at the game. Mm-hmm. And in this one, it's like stop, look around.
Does not feel fast at all.
Yeah, it does.
The pacing is so off. And for a platformer, obviously, you can tell from this game they focus more on story and like its art style and just build. And that's totally awesome because the characters are enjoyable in a weird kind of car sick stop and go sort of way.
Yeah.
But the game, the controls are kind of loose. They don't feel that good. And anytime. So my definition of when controls feel good, the baseline is Super Mario 64. 1, because it's the first game I played as a kid. But 2, it was like the quintessential 3D platformer. It was like the one that defined 3D platformers.
Yeah.
So you're going to base it off that. So that's the baseline. And this one does not hit that line. It
not
just
even a little. Yeah.
If anything, at this point, Super Mario 64 set the bar too high for everyone else in the future. The only thing, the worst part of Super Mario 64 controls was the actual joystick on the controller. So,
yeah.
But this game, it feels loose. He doesn't move. He doesn't feel like he's ever moving quickly. When you're on, you get a ball for a levitate skill, so it's like, the controls are even more loose because you're on a ball, so you have to battle the physics of trying to turn left and right, and the momentum's taking you. It's just, and the whole swinging controls debacle, that's really weird. And I found you can't really quickly like do actions one after another. Like if you're playing any platformer, you say you want to stand in one place and you just want to keep jumping. You just keep mashing that button. You're just going to keep doing it. Double jump, single jump, whatever. As soon as you touch the ground or as soon as you're able to, you can keep doing it. This game, you keep pressing the button. It's only going to do it when it allows you to. So I feel like there might be like a cooldown just for the sake of the animation. So when the animation allows you to, I guess.
I haven't experienced that, I don't think.
So like when I was swinging on those things, I would hit it. And then as soon as I got to the next one, I would hit X again, but it wouldn't take the button press. And I hit it like 2 more
times.
There's
a buffer.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's in almost every action you do. So you can't do quick sequential stuff, which is like the baseline, which is one of the major things for platformers. Yeah. You got to be able to do a lot of actions very quickly. Look at speedrunners. There's a reason platformers are like the speedrunning platform.
Right.
Because you get good at the controls, you master them, you do Mario 64 with 2 button presses for the whole game. That's, it's ridiculous that a platformer doesn't have like better controls, but I assume just based on the presentation of the game, that was more of, we want this world, and it's also going to have these controls.
Yeah, I think they were dying too hard to be funny. Yeah. But, all right, let's put a bow on it real quick.
Okay.
Just quick thoughts on the game right now, and then what you're hoping to see from our next episode, where hopefully we'll have finished the game by that point.
Yeah. Well, I've already gotten a bit further than you, so I have a better idea of how the game builds and more of the characters you run into. It does get better in like the story world aspect. A lot of the characters are really cool. They have little nuggets of like their information is awesome. I hope that overall like so far the boss battles haven't been that amazing, and I hope that is one thing that will change, because like a lot of the characters seem like the main antagonist seems like really kooky and crazy and ridiculous, and I hope there's something more to just, some of the, here's a monster that you shoot at once and you've bested it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I hope for, with the crazy characters they have, I hope for better boss battles, because the ones I've encountered so far just sit, wait, hit them, and then hit them more. It's like the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, like that formula of wait for their weak spot, but watered down so much.
Yeah. I haven't gotten there yet, so I'll take your word for it, but I think that's a good comparison. So, yeah, my little summary is like, I think this game is for people whose like favorite ride is the Ferris wheel, right? Like you get on, you think it's a classic, and then you realize you're just stopping for other people to get on, and then you're stopping for other people to get on, and you ride for a little and you stop, and you ride for a little stop, and you pray that you don't get stuck at the top, but you end up getting stuck at the top anyway, and it's just going to keep going around like that until you want to get off, and you can't get off when you want to get off. You have to get to a point at the bottom where you can stop and get out. So if your favorite ride's the Ferris wheel, this game is for you.
It's very much by the developer's time. It doesn't give the player the hand to really set the pace and whatnot. It's very much the game sets it, and you are. I think it's a good cinematic game to watch other people play. It's a good like almost interactive cartoon, I would say.
So I'm hoping that that's going to pick up. It sounds like it doesn't where you're at, but maybe in later game we're going to get some momentum going. Hopefully when I have like all the powers, I won't care about the power-ups and I'll just be able to breeze through. But that's the point I'm hoping to get to. We spent a lot of time talking about this, and honestly not a lot of time talking about what's good about it. So let's hope that at our month's end discussion, this will have changed a little bit. But we are going to be coming back November 15th for the end of Psychonauts 2. Hopefully the tone will be a lot different at that time.
Yes.
But
I hope so.
All right. And as always, this has been the Forgot to Save podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. I've been Stone.
And I've been Regan.
And we will see you on November 15th.